I'm Benny Ming from the Wing Chun Museum. I'm here to do a videotape on the most popular Wing Chun in the 20th century, which is known as the Yip Man system. Wing Chun is a sudden shouting system, which started more than 3 centuries ago. The most well-known today, known as the Yip Man system, is really came about during the 50s. It's made known by Grandmaster Yip Man, along with his many great students, including Bruce Lee, which transferred the art into international status.
Sifu Benny Ming began his Wing Chun Kung Fu training in Hong Kong in 1982 under the movie star Sifu Li Hoi Sang, a student of Xiu Wan. Xiu Wan had completed training in the Wing Chun system through Shan Yu Min in China prior to beginning his training with Yip Man. Sifu Benny Ming's training under Li Hoi Sang was interrupted after 2 years of intense study by his return to the United States. He resumed his training under Sifu Mo Yat in New York City in 1985. He completed his first trip to the entire system in 1986 and officially started training Wing Chun in 1987. In 1994, Sifu Benny Ming began another journey through the system with Sifu Mo Yat. The goal of both the teacher and student was to examine the details and deeper aspect of the art form in totality. With Mo Yat's blessing, Sifu Benny Ming began another journey through the system in 1995 via extensive private lessons with his Kung Fu uncle, Yip Ching. Study was completed in November of 1997. In 1998, Sifu Benny Ming was certified as a senior instructor by the Wing Chun Athletic Association of the Yip Man lineage in Hong Kong. The above training gave Sifu Benny Ming a comprehensive understanding of the system passed on by Yip Man. To broaden his knowledge of the original system, Sifu Benny Ming sought further training from lineage separate from Yip Man. Sifu Ming had the privilege of studying under Sifu Garrett Ji of the Hung Fai Yi Wing Chun lineage. Sifu Benny Ming's passion for Wing Chun research has been fueled at an ever-accelerating rate by his position as curator of the Wing Chun Museum. Literally hundreds of books and tapes on Wing Chun history, teaching methods, applications, and interpretations have flowed into the museum. Each is viewed, read, and analyzed by Sifu Benny Ming and the Wing Chun Museum Committee for inclusion in the museum and incorporation into the museum's curriculum. In October of 2001, Sifu Benny Ming was featured on the cover of TC Media's premier magazine, Kung Fu Chi Kung. As a frequent contributor to the magazine, Sifu Benny Ming's well-researched articles aroused even more interest in the art of Wing Chun. This video was produced as a joint venture between Sifu Benny Ming, the Wing Chun Museum, and TC Media to further shed light on this authentic fighting art.
Welcome. My name is Benny Ming. I'm the curator of the Wing Chun Museum in Dayton, Ohio. We are here to do the BUG series on the Yip Man system. First of all, I want to thank my fellow martial artists. I got a lot of compliments for the Silim Tao and the Tumkyu series. The methods for our BUG series is going to be focused on the common denominator of BUG, in essence, the principles. Because as I have the opportunity to travel to learn and investigate the Yip Man system, there are almost many different interpretations of Yip Man system. Okay, almost every expression is based on the teacher's background, his character, and his experiences. So rather than looking at, well, what are the styles out there, the different interpretation, we're going to focus on the essence, which is the principle of the BOG system. Let's discuss about really what BOG means. In Cantonese, BOG, Bio means to thrust, G means finger. So you have what it means to thrusting fingers. But in essence, it means be able to generate the explosive power to the extremity. Could be the fingers, could be the palm, could be the fist, could be the forearm, could be the elbow. Because if you tie back to the beginning of the Wing Chun system, Silim Tao will give you the proper body mechanics, proper position, proper structure. Then Chung teach you how to move, the footwork, the kicks, but more importantly is be able to generate the momentum. Okay, going forward, turning, and so forth. But more importantly now, BOG is be able to combine Silim Tao and Chung. Be able to generate power in an explosive manner. Also is be able to go to the impact, which is the contact surface. That is the extremity, okay? Not necessarily always have to be the finger. So BOG, thrusting finger. Sequence is not the most important because Wing Chun is always system. Every part has its own body of knowledge, okay? Even through my experience, some well-known Yip-Man teachers, grandmaster from different family of Yip-Man students, they teach, for example, some would teach the Fa Sao first, then the Gan Zam Sao, and the other family would teach the Gan Zam Sao first and then the Fa Sao. So we don't want to gain an argument and say, well, which one is right and wrong. It's really, it's what the essence behind it is, not the sequence, it's the principles. Now that we're going to go into the concept and the details of each section. I'd like to introduce my assistant. It's a familiar guy you already know. Okay, my student Jeremy Roark. He's also instructor in the Yip-Man system, certified under the senior certification of the Wing Chun Athletic Association in Hong Kong. Okay, Jeremy? Wing Chun form is like a textbook. It's really the responsibility of the Sifu, the instructor, to unlock that knowledge and pass on to the future generations. So the way we're going to explain the form is, number one, we're going to show you the technique that is new at this level. Number two, we're going to show you the proper position and the structures. And then also explain the attributes, such as the explosive power I mentioned about the build. And last is applications. Jeremy is going to demonstrate one section at a time. Then I'm going to use this opportunity to explain it to step 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, proper techniques, proper position and structures, attributes, and its applications. Now let's look at the opening. We have two new techniques. Okay. Now as you see, the opening we call first movement is called kauma. Can you demonstrate that again? Very good. Now you can see this movement, it's a footwork that travels from the right to the center or from the left to the center. Footwork is very important, okay? We have an upper gate that can be covered by his hands. But what about the lower gate? So what we teach you is that when you travel forward, your feet have to cover the center line, okay? Could be a simple step or for advance, or it could be somebody kicking you. Your feet have to travel to the center. One way to use this, okay, is not only teach you how to step, okay, from here to here, but also allow you to be able to come back to the Ichi Kamyoma. Remember, Ichi Kamyoma in Siddham Tao is mother of all stances. One more time from the side view. Now, it's important to recognize that this is not something new. In essence, by the time he's finished, he's actually doing Ichi Kamyoma from Siddham Tao. Okay, the center of gravity is sink slightly, but the center is maintained. 50-50 weight. He's not leaning forward, he's not leaning backwards. Okay? So this is like mother of all stances again. I'm going to demonstrate two applications for this opening. Okay? For example, there's a saying, every kick is a step. Every step is a kick. For example, if I advance forward and punch Jeremy, okay? You see what happens? Okay, I'm worrying about my upper gate, but my lower gate, the center, totally exposed. So that's why as we step forward, okay, my center line has to be protected. So this teaches the proper covering of the lower gate center line. Now, second application is actually when your legs travel forward, you need to recover. Okay, as you can see, one more time, watch the way I approach Jeremy. Okay, as I step forward, I always finish with the foundation, which is Ichi Kamyoma. Okay, if I push my foot right here and stop, now if he's a grappler, he would take my legs right underneath, right there. So this, I would not have a stable balance. It's very narrow. Okay, so the main focus is as you advance forward, you transfer your legs to the center and back out again. Okay. Now, second application is actually on the way back. It is a sweep. For example, if Jeremy comes in, okay, as you can see, Kaoma, it's teach you how to protect your center going forward, as well as sweep on the way back. The next sequence, we're going to be looking at the punch and the Byuji. Okay, again, the opening. Okay, as we already demonstrated, the purpose of the Kaoma. Now this right here, he's using full body, the energy of the thumb kill to throw a vertical punch. Right side. Okay, same thing on the right side. Okay, after the punch, always follow with the Byuji techniques. Now, the form contains the Byuji, but actually there's a distinction between what is Byuji and Byusao. For example, Byusao is already introduced. Jeremy, can you demonstrate the Byusao in the Siddham Tao form? Okay, this part, you notice the finger is not bent. Okay, this part is called Byusao. How about Byusao from a Chamkyu? Okay, as you can see, Byusao technique, in essence, focus on the forearm. For example, if Jeremy were to throw a hook punch, this would be the biu sao. Okay? So what is the difference between biu ji? Now remember, biu ji is thrusting fingers. Okay? We're going to be able to transfer the power to the extremities. So in essence, we can use the finger to strike against some sensitive area, pressure point. For example, if I'm going to use my fingers, okay, the finger has to be locked. But more importantly, the wrists have to be straight and locked. Meaning, when I strike, this position is locked and strong. So as I'm coming down to the pressure point here, or going up my wrist, or going across, okay, this gives a sense of structure. That's why as we are using the finger to strike, the structure of the wrist is locked. That's the key point. And also, once you have this locking energy, you can also use it for the explosiveness, the whipping energy, okay? For us to use my forearm, I can also use my wrist for additional power. Okay, if you watch the biu sao again, okay? My block actually is a strike to his arm. This whipping energy allows me to do that, okay? From here, I can again, locking my wrist and come down to the pressure points. Next sequence, focus on the Wing Chun elbows. Just like biu sao, elbows are actually introduced already in Chung form. Jeremy, can you show us where the elbow has been introduced at the Chung form? Right. As you can see, the elbow strike is what we call a horizontal elbow. Biu ji elbow actually contains 3 separate techniques. One is called guai zhang, one is called cup zhang, one is called pai zhang. Guai zhang, guai means to nail. Now this elbow is both horizontal and vertical. Okay, what it is really a diagonal elbow. Now important things to realize, elbow is a short range technique, okay? So even though we know elbow is very devastating, very powerful, but if you throw it outside of the range, you're actually not going to be able to develop its potential. Now if Jeremy throws the elbow way out here, okay, he's going to eat my punches on the way in. Okay, so elbow is a short range techniques. The proper elbow is to be able to strike with the surface of the front part, the back part. Now let's look at this diagonal elbow, okay? Elbow is short range, okay? When you're short range, you're gonna have a little bit difficult in generate power. So the proper mechanics of this elbow is to focus aiming on this, we call it the shoulder line. And then the rest of your body gonna take it to the center line. Okay, this is details that's important. Okay, now if you watch me, if I aim my elbow to the center without using the body, basically you have no power. But if I'm gonna bring my elbow to the center and use my body, most of the time I'm already passing. So that's why the proper execution of this elbow is actually coming from the shoulder line, and then the rest of the body carried through. Okay, so my elbow actually from the elbow, shoulder line, boom, to center line. Okay, so it's important to recognize, demonstrate, go ahead and put your elbows up again, down. So this actually is the shoulder line, but the hip is going to actually carry to its self-center line. So this is the proper mechanics, okay? Because you want the devastation of the elbow, which is come from a hip. Jeremy's going to do it one more time and do a slow pace this time. Again, okay? He's actually aiming towards his shoulder, but by turning his hip, his elbow actually is going to go towards the center. The next motion. Okay, very good. Now this sequence not only introduced the elbow technique, okay, but now we're getting into one major concept that is new in biu ji. It's called gao gap sao. Gao gap sao in Wing Chun is meaning emergency hands, because in a real self-defense or combat situation, not everything is going to go your way. Okay, most simple thing is most difficult thing. Okay, this is our kapsao is to be able to help you recover. Okay, for example, Silim Tao teach you how to occupy your center. Okay, Chung give you the mobility, be able to change the center. But now what if you start out with a bad center? For example, if for whatever reason I punch and he popped my elbow and try to pin my hands, okay, I have no arm to punch. Okay, so how do I recover? This ability to recover. Okay, so this is a new element in the BUGs, which is what we call emergency hands. The elbow follow with the hands right underneath and builds out. Again, this is more recovery. Every time my hand's out there, he pop. My hands jam, I recover. Pop. As you can see, this allows me to be able to quickly recover and regain my center. I'm back to the structure I wanted. The next sequence of elbow is all what we call cup zang, means pressing elbow. Now this is a little bit different. When Chung being a defensive art, okay, sometimes you have to have options. Okay, for example, if somehow for whatever reason he get hold of my hand, okay, a lot of time let's say, well, I can kick him, I can punch him, but when somebody get hold of your hand, when I make a move, maybe he's already pulling me off balance when I start kicking him. Okay, so every time people put a hand on you, this becomes a primary threat. So how can we take care of it? Well, number one, you can make him let go. Okay, number two, you can control him back. Okay, now this is called pressing because you actually are pressing using your elbow to press him. Okay, called kamna techniques. Of course, you can go straight to the elbow strike. So the options is on your side. Okay, so second sequence of elbow is called pressing elbow, and actually it's more of a control technique. Again, okay, almost the exact sequence of the form. Okay, now for me to control him, I can continue on. Okay, so this is cup down. Let's look at the sequence in the form. A lot of students ask me, how come you do 3 elbows and then now you do a single elbow? Because in essence, it's 2 different elbows. First set is guaizang, diagonal elbow. So this single elbow is actually pressing cup zang. Jeremy, would you demonstrate this time? Slow down. As you can see, this elbow is coming straight up and down. It's pressing motion. And same thing, builds out, recovery. Now we get to the third sequence of elbow, is we call pai zang. Okay, pai zang is actually already taught in the Chung. The difference here, as you can see, is coming horizontally, where the first one, guaizang, is diagonal. Second elbow, the pressing elbow, cup zang, is vertical. Okay, this one is come straight from diagonal. Let's examine one elbow at a time. Pai zang first. Now, this is exactly what we call arm destruction. Okay, he gave me the arm. Okay, now I can continue on with more elbows. Okay, so elbows, target-wise, the limbs and the head will be one of the primary target. Because why? Sometimes, let's say if I'm really close, where I'm trying to horizontal elbow his chest, what if he's coming in at that point? Basically, he jammed my hand. Now, if I elbow his face, when he comes in, it's still gonna hurt him. So it's important that we recognize the arm and the head, the face area would be primary target for the elbows. Okay? Now, the horizontal elbow will not always just hit the front, because the rotation here to here, what you see in the Chung Kyu, as well in the BG, could be from all angles. Could be from a side angle, could be from a back angle. Okay? So as you can see, Wing Chun is always based on concept. You don't follow the sequence exactly. Okay? You have the horizontal, you have the diagonal up. You have also the Chung Zang from the Chung Kyu. Chung Zang could be straight behind. So that's why Wing Chun elbow is really give you a sense of how to cover yourself in a multi-dimensional angle. Right and left, up and down, diagonal. So all 8 directions. I'd like Jeremy to demonstrate the whole sequence of the elbows. Okay, first set is diagonal, which is the guaizang, meaning kneeling elbows. The second sequence is pressing. Okay, it's more of a control technique. The last sequence is horizontal elbow. Okay. We only demonstrate one side. In practice, you do both sides. Now, if you watch the last sequence of elbow, actually contain a palm strike technique. Now we'll go into the explanation of those palm strike. Let's look at this sequence. The Gao Gap Sao principle, again, if he totally took my facing away, I can use Biu Sao Gao Gap Sao. Now this open up for Lap Sao. So from here, my target could be upper gate, or my target could be his middle gate. Okay? So the sequence is there for you to use. The technique is not new because the Lap Sao, the palm strike is already introduced. Okay? So the system allows you to be able to understand that ultimately you have to understand that Wing Chun distance is here. Okay, from elbow to palm strike is either on the outer gate or the inner gate. This is important where you simultaneously be able to use it. If he gives you something extended, your elbow's right there. Okay, your palm strike's right there. So in essence, we never have to overextend ourselves. Okay, now this sequence concludes the elbow series. A lot of different Wing Chun family, they only practice one elbow, which is diagonal. Now, according to what Grandmaster Yip Jun told me, that in the early days, Grandmaster Yip Mun decided to focus on the, we'll call the guaizang, the diagonal elbow, because it's more devastating and it's harder to train the body because you have to really whip the hip and come in diagonally. So later on, as he passed on the methods, a lot of students only taught that way. Okay, so actually there are 3 different types of elbow: guaizang, kapzang, and paizang. Gan zang sao is our next sequence, means scissor hand. Okay, gan sao. Basically, it's a technique that protects your upper gate. Gan sao, low. Again, it's a technique that protects your middle gate. Basically, they're the same technique. One is high, one is middle. So you have basically simultaneously be able to cover your gates. Seems kind of short, okay, but the ability to use 2 hands, it's a trademark of Wing Chun. This concept is already introduced in Zilum Tao. But what is essence is be able to simultaneously be able to cover your gates and throwing offense and defense. Let's say Jeremy throw me a punch. Now you can see slow motion again. What I just did basically is cover my upper gate because this is where the attack, and then open him up for my own strike. Okay. Now this part not only protect myself and counter, okay? How's it feel from your side?
I can't stop the hit. As my punch comes out, I'm being redirected and I'm still extending my punch, so I'm walking my face into your punch.
Right, exactly. The energy is basically allowing him to come in, but basically I don't stop him. Okay, he's the aggressor, he's gonna walk into my punch. That's really a shout-in idea because we don't fight, we basically are picking up his distortion, his aggression to attack me. So if you watch this one more time, guns out, higher gate, guns out, middle gate, punch. Now regular speed, now if his intention is really gonna hurt me, he's gonna have forward energy coming in. So what that allowed me to do is to suck him in. Okay, this elbow is right there. Okay, so ganzamsao is very useful too. Okay, allow you to quickly cover your gates. Okay, because he could be punching my chest. I still got it. Okay, so this allow me to be able to, now if he attack me in the middle gate, okay, again, two hand workers went simultaneous. Okay, now the motion follows, which comes back to a paksao. Okay, now if he's also a good fighter with a Wing Chun skill or some other internal style that have good sensitivity on the hands, he could be running as I'm blocking. Okay, he runs across. Okay, the paksao is there, or lower gate as I'm coming in and he runs. Okay, this allows me to recover. Again, the recovery concept is a new concept in Ryuji, which is the emergency side. Okay, as you can see, the combination is there for you to use, okay, but it's important to understand the concept. Okay, again, ability to use your art. Okay, one of them is be able to change and adapt. Okay, would you let's watch that again. If he runs his hand after he punch, okay, you see the pot is right there. Same thing with the lower gate. Okay, now this motion here is be able to protect the gates. Okay, I want to emphasize again the concept of Gao Gap Sao. Okay, Wing Chun, we focus on the space, what's in front of us. Because in essence, we cannot go chase after his attack. Because if he really are fast, you know, if I try to always like block after his hand, so I'm gonna miss. And I'm always gonna be passive in that sense. So in a situation you're not sure or you got caught off surprise, I could be looking and you suddenly a punch comes. Okay, see, I'm not sure where it's coming from, but I know it's coming from this direction. So in this case, this is for upper gate, this is for middle gate. So in that sense, we practice both hands cover our sense of the space in front of us. Okay, from there, okay, Jeremy punch. Once we have contact, then he's mine because the skill of Chi Sao takes over. Next sequence is called Man Sao, but sometimes we call it Fa Sao. Okay, why do we call it Man Sao? Okay, for example, let me show you the application first. If I'm standing here and suddenly again, coming from an angle from the side, okay, that I'm not properly facing, okay, I'm not sure what's out there, but I see something coming up to my upper gate. Okay, first of all, again, this allows me to go out and find out what it is. That's why we call Man Sao. Okay? Fa Sao express really the energy of it. Okay, you cannot just kind of go out there and touch someone. Okay, so you have to really cover your gate in the quickest way. Okay, coming from this side. If the energy is quick, that's why the Fa Sao express explosiveness. Okay, so you could be a middle gate again, or it could be upper gate. Okay, now. You also see in the last sequence, you see the techniques come back with Pak Sao. Next sequence, the technique is coming back with the Zam Sao, means to chop. So what is the quickest way you recover the center coming back? Is coming back with the attack. So again, watch this sequence. If he throw me a side attack from my flank, okay, Fa Sao take care of the first attack. What about that hand? Okay, so you can see this quickly recover your center. Now let's watch that slow one more time. Fa Sao, Man Sao, Gan Sao. So ability to quickly recover from a bad facing situation into a way, bad situation, good situation. Now I'm squaring up, I have the inside line. Okay, so again, the idea of quickly recover your center. Now the quickest way to come back is chop. Jerry, would you demonstrate the secret record speed? Man sao or Fa sao, Gan sao or Zam sao. Now this is Hyun sao, Pak sao, Hyun sao, Pak sao. When you are exchanging skill, defending yourself with opponents, his live opponents, he punches, I intercept, then I'm going into my counter attack. He's not going to stay there. Boom. Okay, again, how do you adjust the changing situation in real situations? Okay, so we have always kind of have a backup in the sense that we always be able to cover our space. Okay, so as he comes in, if he give me a lot of energy, then this Hyun will take care of his energy. Hyun sao, it's a very good technique against strong energy coming in. Okay, be able to redirect. Now you can see it's from outside, I can go inside. Okay, inside I can go outside. Okay, so Hyun sao is ability to be able to use inside or outside, or outside or inside. Let's look at the recovery concept of Hyun and Pak again. Okay, so as you can see, Pak sao is there against in case he's already there. Okay, I cannot successfully go outside, then I'm gonna be able to recover again. Okay, now again, I'm getting my superior position back. Okay, next sequence is Biu sao. Okay, again, you can see the power source from the body. Okay, the emergency concept because his hands is right underneath his elbow. Now this motion, we call it Ging sao. Basically, it looks like a Tan sao, but it's modified in the sense that you are using the wrist power. Okay, because the prior movement is Biu sao that goes out to the outer gate. This technique comes back to the inner gate. Okay. Now you notice, looks like he's striking off to the side, but in essence, he's recovering his center. Okay, so if he turns his body back, his hand's still on his center. Again, it's recovering your center line. Okay, do one more time slow, then I'm going to show you the applications. Again, come back with the Man sao. Okay, Biu sao is one of the technique that you utilize right at the beginning of the Wing Chun system. You see in Silim Tao, you see in Chung Kyu. Okay, it's primarily a technique that you can use for interception, for straight line attack, or curve line attack. For example, Biu sao could be used for the outer gate. Okay, you see, I like to maintain my distance, keep it safe. Second way, we could use Biu sao to intercept. Okay, again, watch. Okay, you see what I mean by intercept. He never had a chance to finish his punch. Let's watch again, okay, for direction of the attack. Now, Biu sao could be used against a straight line attack. Very effective against jab. Now, if he opens up for curve, that's a mistake that he made. So I'm going to try to take advantage of that. Then I can actually apply the interception. As you can see, because he opened up, okay, this allowed me to go in and cut his technique short, allow me to do Biu da simultaneously. Let's look at it again, this time from crossing side. Again, he gave me a straight, I intercepted. But suddenly, attack comes from blind side. There is no need for me to do anything because this one already covered the short range attack and basically his whole center is opened up. Okay, so you can see the Biu to Ging sao. Basically, again, it's a technique that allows you to cover your space in the most efficient way. This sequence is Chung Kyu Lap sao. Okay, let's do one more time. This is what we call long bridge. And he's actually lap. Okay? Coming to the side. Now this is also introduced a new technique. Okay, we call Gyeong Choi. Okay? If you look at my hand, what it looks like is it's kind of look like a ginger. That's what Gyeong means, it's ginger. Okay? It's actually that we are using the knuckle to strike. So most of the time, this type of special punch is for unique target. What is Chung Kyu Lap sao? Now let's look at its Lap sao perspective. In the other series, you already understand the lob. Okay, again, lob is not to hold on to it. It's something is very explosive, very quick, allow you to really have an explosive snapping technique. Okay, for example, let's say Jerry throw me a punch. Okay, this is lob, ability to quickly jerk his head. Okay, now lob does not always limit it to just the hands. Again, let's say if he punched me again. Okay, I could be lobbing his head, arm simultaneously. Okay, so the difference between a lob is when I lob is because I have the position to strike him. Okay, he's right there. Okay, now turn kill position, again, it gives you a little bit elements of maintaining safe, how to recover. Okay, I want to be able to maintain my space as well as be able to control him. Let's say he suddenly throw me a punch. Okay, I want to be able to right away be able to control his arm. Okay, now you watch the form, lob and go to side, because you cannot get leverage from here to here. Okay, so you have to be able to again apply the ceiling tau facing. Okay, so I could be using fat sao, lob, or I could be using the pure sao sequence, lob. Okay, lob again is a control technique. What you do afterwards is either follow with a strike, or is again it's a control technique. Now let's say from this sequence, if we look at the technique after the lob, it's what we call gyeongsoy. Okay, the motion is important to understand first. It's really what we call elbow up position. Okay, so when we do a straight technique, elbow down. When we do a curve technique, elbows up. So watch one more time. Okay, I quickly lob. Okay, now I can use gyeongsoy, okay, against a sensitive area. Okay, but the motion again, okay, my hands from here to here, I want to be able to use that body energy, okay, as a strike. But it also depends on what is his position. Okay, now, again, if he really follow through, we have to control here. This really opens up, it's this right here. Okay, it's really a takedown. So, again, the concept is be able to understand the motion of the body mechanics. Okay, not necessarily you always follow a sequence. Could be a takedown or could be a pressure point strike. Now we are doing the last sequence. Okay, this actually sequence has a unique name. It's called Sam Bai Fat, 3 bows of the Buddha. Okay, the technique itself looks like a bow. Okay, that's probably where its name's coming from. But more important, we know that Wing Chun is a Shaolin system. Okay, this actually shows the roots of the system. Okay, 1 bow, 2, and 3. Now this is kind of unique. Okay, first of all, let's analyze the technique first. The first motion is what we call double hand wu sao, but in essence, this is not something new. It's a wu sao techniques. Okay, wu sao means guarding hand. Okay, but what's unique is that his body is called bai yin. Bai yin means your structure or your shape is being broken. Okay, because again, in a situation you could be attacked where you cut off guard, and you already be in a situation where you could be already in a situation like this. Okay, his body is already broken the center line, which means he don't have the proper center line facing of the ceiling tau anymore. So what would he do? Recover first, because it's disadvantage to fight from those weak positions. Okay, now why 3 times? We're going to explain about the scenario. Okay, for example, let's say we use the last sequence so you can relate back to the form. Okay, I punch him, he's going to apply a long bridge lap out on me. Okay, now this is not in a good position. Okay, now if that hands or any attack comes over, the most important thing is for me to recover. Okay, so whenever I'm down, I don't want to be coming up like this. I'm wide open. Okay, so this tissue, the wu sao, is there to protect the gate. Okay, so idea is not to, okay, I'm going to fight from here. The idea is to, from this bad position, recover. But how are you going to recover? You need to recover your gates. The wu sao goes up. So on your way up, it's important to protect your upper gate. So how about down? Okay, the motion from here to here, the structure is the same. Okay, Now, again, if I got Jeremy in a situation here, this would be the challenge for him. Okay, his structure is broken, and now would be a good time for me to use my finishing move. Okay, so if I'm in that situation, okay, the foot could be outside of me or could be inside of me. So if he kicked me on this side, okay, you gotta be able to, again, my hand has to be there. Okay, so as you can see, same thing from this side. And this motion basically protects your boundary. If he really devastating and try to throw me a knee attack, okay. Now, how's that feel?
Not pleasant, sir.
Okay, so in other sense, it quickly give me a way to protect myself. Now that's from inside position. Now whatever reason I'm here, if my hands is on the outside, so I have two hands. Okay, if this foot kicks me, right? This motion here teach you how to protect from if your hands is on the outside. Okay, if my hands here, protects you inside. So again, important thing is to recover. Okay, because you're not going to stay down there. If you go from here, I quickly come back up. That was two of the bows. Okay, one is protect yourself going up, and then two is protect yourself going down. Okay, now this is the third scenario. What happened? Suddenly I've been attacked from the back. Okay, so if I want to turn, oh, you see the scenario is that, well, Wing Chun is like you can't fight from a back position. You got to recover. Again, the same motion, okay, will help you to recover in a different scenario. Okay, same thing. You see this motion here. Okay, now I have a chance. If that hand comes, it really hits in a way that is advantage to me. Now I can counterattack. Okay, let's try to show you the third bow from a different angle. Again, suddenly I've been attacked from behind. Okay, for me to recover, number one, I need to again. Now I'm already bowing. Okay, but again, my hand has to be up there. Now I'm back to my ceiling top. Okay, now I'm back to my ceiling top. Okay, or it could be simply from the side. Suddenly I do a build out. This hand comes around. Okay, so now I have a situation again to my advantage. BUG form contain a lot of applications. The focus is not on its, well, here's the sequence, here's how you defend yourself. It's really the concept. So, what is the concept? The central theme in this form is be able to recover yourself when you're in bad situations. Okay, because when my facing is off, when my balance is off, that is not a time to fight. It's kind of teach you a logic we call tactics. Okay, called gao gap sao. The second most important aspect of BUG is be able to take the ceiling tile structure and the mobility and the ability to generate power with Tumkill into a way where you can express it explosively, called BUG, okay? Explosively to the extremity. Could be the finger, could be the forearm, could be the elbow. So in that sense, now you are ready for the applications of Wing Chun system. Now, in essence, the BUG give you some new tools, just like Silim Tao, Tumkill. Every time we learn through a different level, you learn new tools. Okay, let's review a little bit. Now, first we have the full work. From the beginning, you have your Kao Ma. Throughout the forms, you also have your Hun Ma. Okay, this ability to protect the center as well as a takedown technique. Okay, but more importantly, doesn't matter what position you're in, you should be able to finish in a maximum efficient position, which is again give you the both hands and both feet, the Silim Tao posture again. Also, BUG introduced the three elbows, okay, the diagonal called Guai Zhang, okay, as well as the Pai Zhang, what you see already in the Tumkill, and more importantly, also the Cut Zhang, okay, three different sets of elbows, and also it followed up with the Biu Sao, as well as the BUG. Okay, again, it focuses on all the extremities. You have the fingers, You have the palm, you have the forearm, you have the elbow, you have the shoulders. Okay, as you can see, Wing Chun is a total self-defense combat system, so it's not limited to any body parts. The key behind each section show us something new, okay? But always it comes back to one of the new concept of BUG, which is the Gao Gao Sao. Gao Gao Sao is emergency hand. You know, if my elbow's in a bad position, I can recover. From there, allow me to go right into center line, occupying the center line again. Gan Zam Sao, I'm protecting my upper and middle gate right away, allow me to simultaneous attack right away. Okay? From the side, you have your Man Sao or Fa Sao, and come back to the center. All this is recovering your postures. Okay? Turn Q, Lap Sao. Okay? Lap Sao, as you can see, Wing Chun have a lot of Lap Sao, but why do we do the Turn Q Lap Sao? Again, it's maintain a certain proper distance. In the next tape, we're going to go into more skill and application. You can see that's very effective against grapplers. Okay. Then, of course, at the end, we have the San Bai Foot. The San Bai Foot is be able to recover your center regardless of what bad position. Okay, you could be pushed over from the front, or somebody could be attacking you when you're bending over, or the kick could be coming underneath you. So, be able to recover is more important than being able to fight when you're in a bad situation or bad positions. So again, the summary of BUG, its name itself expresses thrusting fingers. Again, that's be able to utilize the structure and the momentum you generate from the thumb kill, be able to express it explosively. In Cantonese, we call that Fa Ging, okay? Mandarin, Fa Jing. So every system has a way of dealing with how do we train the energy. If you see the form in the BUG system, again, you see everything is very explosive, okay? So as an individual training routine, you could take techniques out and be able to just individually express those techniques, focusing on releasing the energy, okay? So prior to contact, your hands relax. But once they explode, okay, the joint locks to give you the structure, but also give you that extra explosive power release. That's why the wrist is very flexible when you train in the BUG level, but at the same time, when you have to use your finger, also give you strong structures. So some of the exercise you can do, just be able to focus on energy. Okay, so the explosive energy, as well as the emergency hand, ability to recover your broken structure, as well as recover your center line, is the primary concept of BUG form. Let's look at some of the Fajing exercise, how we develop the game. Okay, of course, if you practice the series, the sequence of the form, individually you can break it down. For example, in essence, 3 techniques, but each part you have to have the explosive power. The form, the sequence allow you to practice the game, be able to express your power individually. Okay, another example. Okay, each one of those exercises allow you to individually focus on energy. Now keep in mind, I didn't give you a whole bunch of drills in this tape. The key is be able to focus on the understanding of the fundamental, the concept of explosive power, release of energy, and be able to recover your center line. Okay, how you train your form, every school and every individual is different. So good luck, be alive, go with the flow. Welcome to tape 6, which is BUG level part 2. Now this series here is going to focus more on skill developments and actual application training. Because up to now we have introduced the 3 forms of the 3 trilogy of Wing Chun, Silim Tao, Chung, BUG, the overall basic concept as well as the basic techniques. So what you have basically is in your hand you have the tools. The analogy I use is like now you just finished building up your weapons. Once you have a weapon in your hands, for example, it could be a handgun, okay, but of course in this case it's our body. The Wing Chun system is basically self-defense of hand-to-hand combat system. Anyone can pick up a gun and point and shoot, okay? But it's quite different. It's be able to use that gun effectively with skill under stress of combat because you're dealing with life and death situations, okay? So just having a tool in your hands, the logic step from there is be able to train with that tool and be able to effectively reflect the reality of self-defense. Before we go into the skill and applications, okay, it's important to understand the overall objective, the strategy and tactic and philosophy of Wing Chun. So I want to use this opportunity to really go over the overall philosophy. Now Wing Chun is unique because the objective, the strategy and tactic, the philosophy is all one and the same. Okay, I can use Wing Chun for self-defense, I can use Wing Chun effectively in daily life. Now that overall philosophy is what we call efficiency. For the essence of Wing Chun is not a style, it is a system, okay, a system based on efficiency. So everything I do in life, I want to be efficient, okay, especially if my life is dependent on it. I can't afford to waste motions, waste time, and waste energy. So that's the overall objective of Wing Chun. People look at Wing Chun a lot of times and say, well, Wing Chun is a trapping range combat system. Again, it's not that we like to trap, okay, it's because it's efficiency that we choose that particular range, okay. So next, I'd like to show you the ranges of combat, the efficiency of Wing Chun. Okay, a lot of time we hear Wing Chun is simple, direct, and spontaneous. Now, what does that really mean in combat? It's really based on one of the idioms, or we call called economy of motion. Economy of motion is using minimum time, minimum energy, with minimum movement. That's economy of motion. So that becomes our guiding principles. Now let's look at the reality of combat. Combat have no rules. It's not a game where you can only kick or you can only punch or you can only grab. So combat could happen in any ranges. But because of efficiency, let's analyze the long range combat. I'd like to introduce my assistant, Jeremy Rowak. He's also instructor in the human system, certified under the senior certification of the Wing Chun Athletic Association in Hong Kong. Okay, Jeremy? Now, what is long-range combat? Okay, just basically I want to give you a context, okay? To us, long-range combat, where you actually are in threat because one of the tools could be already in range. Okay, in this stance, we both in a what we call fighting stance in a typical way. Okay, my front hand's too far, my front foot is too far. But you see, there are two still available. I could still use my front foot and my front hand, but I have to move forward. Remember, distance is time. Okay, so if you attack out here, for example, if Jeremy were to kick me, how come I can respond to it? It's because I see it coming, because the distance gave me time to respond. Okay, if you look at efficiency, number one, he have to travel longer, takes more time. And every time, okay, if you guys watch, now let's say I'm 30 years older, or I'm out of shape, or he's just a natural athlete, big and strong. Those techniques don't have a problem for me, because he's faster and stronger. So I have to be more efficient, okay? Using those big muscle groups are great for fitness, okay? It's good gross motor skill and give you the foundation. But when real situation, when your life is depend on it, you have to be efficient. Because once your energy is out, you got no more ammos. Now here are some examples, okay? Let's say I'm maintaining my Signum Tau identity, which is basically being symmetrical. That's very natural for human. We're symmetrical right and left. Being natural is being simple, okay? Now let's say I'm dealing with long-range fighters. So I have no problem intercepting that because he have to travel in, which give me a lot of time. Again, okay? Looks like I'm just standing there waiting, but that's, in essence, that's what I'm doing. Because it takes time for him to come on in. Okay? So all we have to do is be aware of the space in front of us, which is really the gate theories. Now from long range, again, the long range is be able to attack somebody with the back foot distance. Of course, from here, if I have to move in, it's still going to take time for me to move in. So it takes more time, takes more energy because of a greater distance. Now let's look at the distance inside of the long kicking range. Okay? From here, you are in a, what we call long striking range. Here, you have more things to worry because now his feet can still kick me, his hand can punch me. So now I have to deal with more weapons. So as you get closer, the reality sets in. It's more dangerous. It's not a game anymore. Okay? But still, you look at the structure from here, my body is still being symmetrical. Okay? Again, I'm only protecting what's needed. Okay? When he overextends himself, you see right away he give me his flank. Why? It's because his body has to still turn forward to get to me. But nonetheless, a good fighter can really do damage at this range, long striking range. Because if you're talking about a fighter that's got speed and power, okay, you have to understand the nature of the technique. Why does fighters fight like this? Because they want power. For them to get distance, they have to rotate, which also gives them power when they rotate. You see? But this is like the paradigm with a lot of good techniques. But again, when you're focused on efficiency, we have to be able to generate the power without that extra rotation. I don't want to be one-sided. So for him to punch me, right at this moment, that hand is out of commission. So he has to let this one go and swing back. Okay, again, that takes time, more energy, more space. Okay, so when Chen idea is be able to be symmetrical. You know, you see my body don't have to move. I can continue to kick and strike without have to adjust. Most of the time, when you're dealing with long range, you only have primary strikes and kicks. Okay. Now let's look at the tools is available at what we call the trapping range. Trapping range basically is our home ground for Wing Chun. Again, that is our home is not because of our style, it's because of efficiency. Okay, let's look at the perspective of reality. Okay, what kind of tools are available at that particular range? It's more than just kicks and strikes. Now, for example, let's say a continuing he comes in with a jab. Okay, now you look at this distance here. Both my hands, both my feet is available against half of his body. I can strike him, elbow, knee, takes down. Okay, everything is available here. Okay, and don't forget, 標指3百分, boom. Okay, so as you can see, in a real fighting situation, this is where reality sets in. Because there are so many options there. You can kick, you can strike, you can elbows, you can knee, you can also that would be the last range that you will be standing up. You can take down. Now as you can see, I'm still maintaining in essence my ranges of combat, trapping range. Okay, tools is kicking, striking, knees, elbows, takedowns. Okay, if I wanted to, it could be just chin up. Fighting from long range requires more space, more energy, more time. So that's why when Chung reminds us, we gotta be more direct, okay, and more simple. So we're not gonna be wasting more space, more energy, and more time, okay. And one more element we're talking about, which is being spontaneous, because as Jeremy gets closer and closer, I have less time to respond. That's why in Chisa we develop what we call reactional combat skill. Because at this distance, I have to react. I don't have time to think. If Jeremy back up now, I have time to see. I have time to plan. Okay, because of distance. Okay, so this is the spontaneous aspect of Wing Chun, is be able to react. So there's one more range we call grappling range. Grappling range, which basically is inside of the trapping range. Let's say again, Jeremy throw me a punch. Okay, now you can see my body is contact with his body. This is no longer a Wing Chun range, this is called grappling range. So I have to force myself to grapple and wrestle, or basically prepare myself to fight on the ground. Tactically, it's a mistake to go down deliberately to try to wrestle somebody on the ground, because on the street, the ground itself is a weapon. You could be falling down and hit something, or there could be 2 against 1, or if I wrestle him, try to choke him out, he could have a knife. So we're talking about tactics here, so it's not something I prefer to go. But nonetheless, that's part of reality. How do you deal with grapplings? Okay? Now, that movement versus, again, when Chung responds, the difference between grappling range and trapping range, let's see he throw me the same punch again. Okay, now you can see the difference here is that my elbow and my body is still apart. This is still Wing Chun range. This is still my trapping range. So it's quite different if I'm engaging here. Okay, so as you can see, reality dictates 2 people, if they really want to hurt each other, it has to be close range. So Wing Chun being a close range system, we prefer to have the options. So I can control him, I can strike him, kick him, as well as be able to stand on my feet. Because once you're on the ground, your options are very limited. The nature of Wing Chun is, it's a system where you develop your health, and also it's philosophy, you can practice efficiency. But more important is practical self-defense. Okay, as you can see, the 4 ranges of combat is dealing with reality. You could be attacked from long kicking, long striking, trapping, or grappling. That's reality. It's not like in fight you can choose or do what you like. It's about relate back to reality, be able to react to what is appropriate, not how you express yourself. So I'd like to review that, but this time we're going to do it in a more technical term in realms of Wing Chun gate theories. again, in tape number 1, we have covered the theories, the gates. Okay, basically you have the center line, divide the body into upper area, the middle area, and the low areas. Okay, opening that form again, please. So the upper area, the lower gate, and the middle gate. Okay, so as long as you're human, you have 6 gates if you are facing the target directly. So this is what we call the 6-gate theories. Now, in Selim Tao, we primarily focus on 4-gate. Why? Because the lower leg is not moving. So you got your upper right, upper left, middle right, middle left. Okay, so this is in terms of gate. Now, why do we maintain this identity for Wing Chun? Again, it's due to its efficiency. Okay, at this pattern for human structure, you can use both hands and both feet simultaneously. Okay, let's look at Chung. Okay, stop please. If you look at, now Jeremy has slightly turned, but in essence, his 6th gate is still in front of him. Okay, 2 right, 2 middle, and 2 low. Now, once he started moving, this is what we call total 6-gate theories, because the footwork, the body, and the hands maintaining certain consistency of 6 gates. If you compare the 6 gate versus, let's say, a long range fighters, if I'm going to fight long range, I cannot be like this, because none of my tools go far enough. So that's why we have to look at it from body mechanic point of view. Okay, it's not, again, we don't look at these styles. Okay, Wing Chun's being efficiency. For us, we play the same game over and over again. It's just be able to handle the 6 gate in front of us, regardless if he's coming with a kick. Okay, I still are protecting my middle gate or my high gate. If he comes in with a hand, I'm still protecting my gates. So for us, if he's a striker or grappler or kicker, we play the same game. Be able to utilize those 6 gates. Okay. Now the way we look at them is, okay, suddenly he give me this posture. I look at him as 3 gates, because there's only one side is actually in front of him. Okay, so this presents me at a disadvantage if I maintain this distance. But anyway, if he's going to really hurt me, he basically going to have to come in. In reality, the situation again, if you look at the gate theory, if he suddenly decide to come in, suddenly I have a 6-gate faces 3-gate posture. He only have right, high, middle, and low. So his left side is useless. Of course he can use it, but he have to make that extra motion. Let's say he have to come around. So as you can see, once we come into what we call trapping range, my 6-gate has more advantage than his 3 gates. Facing is part of the gate theories. Okay, how I face it is very important. Now, if suddenly I'm dealing with another fighter, okay, let's say he is a grappler. Now, as you can see, just by lower his posture, he's already given me his intention. Okay, his intention is to be able to challenge me as a grappler. Okay, but you look at it now, how many gates does Jeremy have? The top 2 gates missing. So he only have the gate here and the gate here. So right away it triggers, okay, my high gate is not really in the threat, because can you kick me from here? Impossible. Can you strike me upstairs? Okay, well he have to come back up, so it's all action motion. So right away, based on the human structure of gate theory, I can analyze what's his intention. Just like if he give me a 3-gate posture, I know his intention is to give me that distance. It's to long range fight. Okay, or if he suddenly drop, lower his center of gravity, his intention is to challenge me, to grapple me, or to tackle me. Okay, so in this case, there is dangers I'm aware of. In this case, the real danger is where he challenged me coming in. Okay, but the other parts of his body also show his weakness, because at this moment he cannot kick me. He can only come forward. Okay, how do we know which technique to use? Okay, now in case of a 4-gate challenge against a grappler, right? They're really attacking my center being the center of gravity. Okay, imagine he's suddenly charging, and I'm still squared up to my 6-gate where my center of gravity is still high, and he jammed my elbow. Now this, he has an advantage now. Next moment, I'm going to go down on the ground. Okay, so I have 2 choices. I have to either wrestle, okay? Or sometimes you say, well, I'm gonna go ahead and kick him, or I'm gonna go ahead and elbow him. As you can see, it's an illusion, because when people are challenging your balance, you have to recover that, okay? I will not kick or strike until he's being redirected where my balance is still maintained. Okay, watch this scenario again. Now, if you look at this scenario from before, my 6th gate is still here, but his force is being redirected. Okay, he no longer challenged my center line, so this is really the time where you can strike. Okay, so as you can see, the gate theory helps us to analyze body language. Because for us, I don't look at what style is in front of me. As a human, he can only kick me, strike me, or grab me. Okay? So based on his body language, okay, with the gate, I can see what his intention. And then they give me the proper response. Okay? There are certain logics. Okay? We want both hands and both feet be able to have more efficiency. So that's why if he's giving me a 3 gates, I always want to take that 3 gate, but myself maintaining the 6 gate. Again, watch the scenario again. Again, 6 gates, okay? You have all type of options. Against grappling, okay? I might have to readjust to allow my center of gravity lower, but nonetheless, my option is still here. Okay, I can still use my feet and my hands, 6 gate versus the 4 gate, of course. Okay? Right now, we call this 2 gate postures. Okay? In a sense, I didn't do this. Now, if there's a buddy come around, my head's going to be smashed by his kick. So this is tactically incorrect for street fighting. I can achieve the same result. So generally speaking, when we say facing, really we are talking about gates. Be able to be efficient, we have to be able to have a certain advantage in terms of facing. For example, 6 gate versus 3 gate, definitely I have an advantage. Okay? Or let's say from previously, when he don't have a center line where I have a center line, okay, I definitely have an advantage. Okay, so those two are interrelated, because if you don't have center, you're bending over or you're shifting your weight. Okay, in essence, at the moment, you've broken your 6 gate theories. Okay, as you can see, Jeremy fall down on the ground. At that moment, he's in 2 gates where I'm still maintaining 4 gates. In essence, the gate allow me to have a strategic position. For example, 6 gate versus 3 gates, or 4 gates versus 2 gates. Okay, that again is consistent with economy of motion. Next, I want to relate the gate theory back to Chi-Sao, because Chi-Sao really gave us that reactional fighting skill, as well as develop that sensitivity, which allow us to be efficient. In actuality, I don't want 6 gate versus 6 gate, okay, because it doesn't give me any advantage. If he suddenly punched me, you see, my 6 gate versus his 6 gate, okay, he can be able to block that right away. So we can just continue to loop around. So in essence, I have no advantage. So anytime you're giving this situation where you square on, the focus is center. Okay, center and the gate are interrelated. So if I'm squaring up, he attacks me, I want to make sure that my center is protected and be able to occupy his center. So as your 6 gate structure, you gotta be able to occupy the center. Now, once I have the center, okay, how does Chi-Sao relate back to self-defense or combat? In most of the Wing Chun drill, having 6 gate versus 6 gate. So we don't have any advantage over each other in terms of facing. So in this case, okay, it could happen in combat situations. So in this case, then our priority becomes the center. Be able to take the center. Now, once I have the center, then I want to destroy his 6 gate. Now you can see my 6 gate again is versus his 3 gates. Okay? So in practice, we learn how to develop that quick sensitivity to give up that reactional combat skill. Okay? But to be able to occupy the center is the first step, be able to use the 6 gate. And if you don't have the center, then you don't have the Wing Chun gate theories. Okay, 6 gate versus 3 gate fighter. Okay, now the situation is he's far away from me, but he closed the gap. Okay, so what I'm doing is Silim Tao. I'm occupying my center, 2 hand work as 1. I'm maintaining my 6 gate, which I have advantage. Now if he continue to challenge me in fight, okay, you see my inside lines is there. Or I could be moving out, continue to using the footwork of Chung and be able to just finish the fight from here. Okay? Or in a scenario, again, from here, or in a scenario, somehow he ducked as I punch, and then now I'm in a scenario where I don't have the Wing Chun posture. So no 6 gates, I'm in a bad position. This is the 3rd form of Wing Chun. Okay, now I want to go into the BG level of Chi Sao. From the past, okay, as you can see, those are single-handed strikes. I have already covered those in previous videotapes. The focus here on BG Chi Sao is be able to use 2 hands simultaneously. So we call it this 2-handed strikes. Okay. Now, if you look at the past, as I'm striking him, let's say he gave me the reason his elbow is open. Now I have a line to strike him, but I must maintain control of this hand. So in essence, this hand is supporting my striking hand. For example, let's look at 2 hands. Now suddenly if Jeremy starts to rush in, okay? Now you look at this situation, I have redirected his energy. Now both lines are open. I can strike him here, or I can strike him here, or I can simultaneously use both hands. So 2 hands give you the option to be able to control both hands at the same time. There are 5 major strikes. I like to go over. The first one is called Po Zong. Po Zong. Basically it means breaking the center. The technique is 1 hand trapping 2. Okay, you're breaking his center. So it's important that we understand from the energy perspective as well as the positional perspective. So that will be my methods of explaining the 2-handed Chi Sao. Okay. Now, as we are rolling, suddenly I feel his bones out have a lot of energy. He tried to collapse my hand. So I have two ways to deal with this. I can fight force with force, pushing back, which means I have to be stronger. Or I can redirect him because there's force coming in. Okay, as force coming in, I'm redirecting going down. So it takes less energy. Okay, now I have both hands control. So Po Zong is in a situation where he's dealing with a lot of heavy bone cell. Because bone cell itself could be a structure where he can challenge me. In this case, like this. Okay? So Po Zong's reaction is based on the energy on the top hand. Let's look at it from regular speed. You see? I'm using that to my advantage, this efficiency. Okay, you see his body go forward. Okay, basically again, I allow him to come in, but at the place where I want him to be. Okay, at the same time, one of my hands controlling both his hand, and I occupy the center line. So Po Zong is one of the very effective 2-handed Chi Sao techniques. The second 2-handed technique is called Tan Da. Okay, it's one of the primary tools of Chi Sao, Tan Sao. Okay, again, it's important to remember perspective that Chi Sao is important that we cover and occupy the center because in facing we have no advantage, 6 gate versus 6 gate. 2-hand allow us to occupy the center, control both hands. Okay, so if you look at the next technique, it's called Tan Da. Okay, again, I'm going to show you the movement first. Tan Da. Okay, it's easy because now you recognize the technique. But the question is, when do you use it? Okay, now before I can push him with my bones out and he can downward focus out, which creates the Po Zong. Now this is just the opposite. If he challenged me with his foot out coming in, again I got 2 choices. One is force against force. Okay, I have to push in and he has to push forward. Okay, again if he's strong I lose. So now I change on him. As he comes in, I let him come in, but again at a place where I want him to be. So again you can see Tan Da. Okay, this allows me to be able to occupy the center. Now, remember, before it was 6 gate facing, right? I already strategically start moving into a position where I have advantage over him. I'm getting back my 6 gate advantage over his 3 gates, okay? So, Tan Da, okay? So now, once you play with the energy, that should be the primary stimulus. So we don't do it, okay, technique number 1 is Po Zong, technique number 2 is Tan Da. We never do it by a number because that's not real. Okay, real situation is spontaneous. So when Chung allows us to feel the energy, if he give me certain energy, I feel it. I'm going to do Po Zong. If he's going to give me energy here, I feel it. I'm going to do Tan Sao. So the stimulus for Qi Sao is always based on energy. Okay? What if you say, well, what if he don't have any energy? Well, if he don't have any energy, why do you bother with anything? You just go through them. Because our structure from the forms of Silim Tao Tsum Kyu is our power. Okay? We don't use muscle power, we use structural power. That's the difference. Okay? Let's look at those two techniques again. Let's say Jeremy suddenly give me a rush of energy. Okay, he give me a bonsai energy, Po Zong comes out. Okay, he give me energy from this Fuk Sao, my Tan Da comes out. Okay, now the other point is I can actually set him up once your energy is good. For example, now I'm gonna push him with my Bong Sao. I expect him to push back. As soon as he push back, my Tan Sao comes out. So again, you can see you can start playing with the energy once you have the sensitivity. Let's look at the third technique, Pak Da. Again, it's one of the very fundamental techniques what you learn in the first sets of forms. You already done this as one of the first exercise called Pak Sao. Okay, Pak. Let's say if he again give me an energy, but it's more of energy going away from my center, going towards my shoulder. Okay, if he's already going there, then okay, fine. I'm gonna allow him to go there. Okay, so you have a Pak Sao. Okay, now it's important not to do this, where you draw this hand back and hit him. Again, you're wasting motions, which means it costs more time, wastes more energy. Okay, again, the energy is going away, okay, away from the center, but still coming forward. So if his energy is coming towards my center, you have your Lap Da. Okay, so Pak Da and Lap Da kind of work simultaneously. Okay, so again, now this is called two hand work as one. I'm using momentum from him. Okay, again, you can see when Chung Chi Sao is about be able to develop the sensitivity and economy of energy. I'm always make him do all the work. Let's look at the Pak Da from the other side. Okay. Again, I'm using minimum energy, but I'm getting the greatest results. Okay, he give me the energy away from my center, I'm gonna let him go. Now, what technique you follow, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it runs as long as you maintain your center, your hand's gonna be spontaneous because you really don't know what's next. Okay, this is the liveliness of fighting. Okay, you can't plan 1, 2, 3. So let's look at those three techniques. Po Zong, Tan Da, Pak Da. As you can see, simultaneously, two hands occupy space. The fourth technique we look at Lap Da. When energy is going towards your center, again, we don't fight it. We go let him go. This time we parry him. Now, before the energy on my center, now the energy is going towards my shoulder line, which is where I want. Then this Lap Sao comes out. Okay, as you can see, if energy comes towards my center, I redirect slightly, then I have a Lap Sao, Lap Da already. Okay, so Lap Sao could be reactive in that sense, or you can set him up. See, I cross his hand. I cross his hand, which allows me to Lap Da, trapping him. Okay, so Lap Da is very powerful because, like I say, allow you to right away be able to take his 6 gate apart. Okay, let's look at it. If energy coming straight, we direct, Lap Da going to the outside. If energy going towards my shoulder, Tan or Pat going to the inside. Okay, so Wei Chen is, again, be able to use the center line as a reference. Okay, because when you Chi Sao, if you don't have a center, You could be just thinking about, well, I want to hit him first. You see what happened? I end up got hit first. Okay, so again, it's not doing what you like. It's doing what's appropriate to what? The energy. If my foot sao is good position and his bong sao collapse, that also allow me to do po zong. Okay, it's not like I always have to be passive. If the position collapse, my hand's there already. Same thing, if I turn and his elbow's out, then why should I wait for him? I'm already there. Okay? So position is structure. Structure is based on if your hands occupy the center or not. Okay? So we have po zong, tanda, pa da, la da. Okay, now there are many variations in drills you can go. You can take tools out of each form and be able to work it. But primarily, the focus here is be able to understand that chi sao, main drill, is where you develop consistency, where your hand is used to center line as a reference, number one. Number two is be able to use his energy. Because later, previously, I talked about economy of motion. Now, chi sao allows us to practice economy of motion plus economy of energy. Okay, so I'm just playing with him based on the energy field. Now you notice I'm practicing my sitting Tao structure. What's that mean? I'm not moving. Okay, because my center is protected, my space is clear. Okay, he's going to be moving all over me. Okay, but I'm still maintaining my center. This is student Tao practice. But my energy is alive. Okay? What if I say, well, I like to move and follow up now. But once you start moving, again, you're putting that center along with the gate theories. You see? Before I say square to him, now I have 6 gates versus 3 gates. Okay? So it's consistency. How we apply the system is how we train. Okay, now you have seen po zong, tan da, pa da, and la da. Okay? I want to really explain why do I pick those 4 techniques. Because right now it's really, in a real situation, you don't have set patterns. So we must train in a way that we don't set ourselves in a given patterns. Okay? So what we are really learning here is be able to handle any energy that comes directly at me. Okay, in this case, it's po zong. Okay, so if it's not coming towards my center, that means it's going away from me. So anytime he has energy, goes out. In this case, it's lata. If you go outside, in this case, tanda. Okay, so as you can see, what I'm training you is be able to recognize how do you play and deal with energy. Either come directly at you, or going out to the side. When we do chi sao, most of the threat is directly in front of me or he's going to attack me from the side. So as you can see, my line's been open coming from the inside. Or he could be outflanking me. Okay? Because nobody's going to attack you high. You know, it's not like something like this going to happen because your hand's right there. Or same thing, suddenly he's going to attack me low. Okay? So you're going to be able to go into your gate theories right away. If he don't have the hands, I don't need to chase after his hands. I go straight to the center. Okay? Because when Chung, we have a lot of tools we learn from the forms. For example, I show you different variations. Let's say la. Okay? But if you can see that slow again, what it's really a biu sao and chin sao from the biu ji form. Or I could be gan sao, gan da from the sitting Tao form, or it could be the elbow technique from the Chung form. So there are no limitations. You just have to keep the focus. Chi sao is be able to take no advantage in facing, occupy the center, gain the advantage. Once you have the advantage, then you destroy his 6 gates. Okay? So there are certain logics in what we do. Ultimately, this applied towards ultimate reality of self-defense. Now we're going to combine everything we learned previously. Okay, as you can see, if we were going to train our technique, okay, anything goes. But you notice we maintain our facing, okay, because again, we want to train, so we stay in the loop. But we're going to go for the end result. We can't do chi sao from there anymore. So that's why there's a training phase, and then there's the application stage. For example, for my two hands to work, I have to really have the foundation looks out. Because if I don't have looks out, I don't know where the energy is, I don't have a proper structure on hands. Okay? So sometimes if his energy good, his position good, I might not have two lines, but I might have just a single line. Okay? So you see everything is interrelated versus in the sense of being complete. Okay? Of course, the horse plays a major role. Okay? Because my strike have to come from the body. So as I'm stepping or as he's coming in, I'm going to be able to use my footwork to angle as well as going forward. Okay, so everything from the past also apply here. Okay, what we have done so far is be able to understand how Wing Chun fit in the realms of reality combat from the ranges of combat. Okay, when I'm strong and young and fast and big, it's good that I have long range tools. But one day we have to be more efficient. That's why trapping range is efficiency of hand-to-hand combat. It's not a style in that sense because it saves time, energy, and space. So for Wing Chun to be able to use our tools, I gotta be able to use my 6-gate, be able to handle a 3-gate long distance fighters as well as a 4-gate grapplers. That's how we have to train. We have to train in the sense of sparring 6-gate versus other systems. Okay, Chi Sao plays a role because again, this is reactional time frame for trapping range. You have to be able to react. You don't have the distance to think because there's no time. Now that you have developed the tools, okay, based on the techniques in the forms, as well as all those training drills from Dan Chi Sao to Sung Chi Sao, as well as be able to apply in a way of dealing with ranges of combat. Okay, there's one last thing we need is tie everything together. Okay, what we need is to maintain the consistency because you cannot go into a life and death situation and be able to say, well, I'm gonna do this style and suddenly I'm gonna change to this style because you gotta have your identity. Now having that identity is very important because how you train is how you behave or how you react under stress, okay? So the overall identity is consistency of Wing Chun, okay? Center line, 6-gate. Now how does that apply? It's based on strategy and tactics, okay? Now see if you guys can recognize which strategy and tactics goes with which level of Wing Chun developments. Beginning, I have Zhong Xin Dou Ying. I'm facing him, occupying my center to have a proper 6-gate. So I'm using that 6-gate in my center to be able to match his shape, which is Ying. Zhong Xin Dou Ying. Center line facing the shape. So this is basically how I set up, okay? Without have to change my shape. Not suddenly, okay, now he's far away, I'm gonna go to 3-gate fighting. Again, you're changing the nature, okay? Because Wing Chun is having the consistency. So from here, I can look at it, what is his approach based on his 3-gate theory or 4-gate theories. Or he could be another 6-gate fighters. But nonetheless, I already trained how to respond to those body mechanics, okay? Once we bridge the gap, okay, then next is Sao Lao Zhong Xin. Hands continue to occupy the center. If my line is correct, center, my hands be able to be simultaneous. What that means is I have a 6-gate again. So from here, I have to be able to continue to occupy. Now, in essence, this could mean the end of the progression. Having the proper center myself to engagement, where I continue to dominate his center, okay, this could be the finishing technique already. But suppose he's a great fighter or he be able to change. So I have to be able to change. It's called Bin Zhong Xin. This is where the elements of mobility, the body structures, the movement start coming in from the Chung Q. So as you can see, Serum Tao teach you Zhong Xin Dou Ying, as well as Sao Lao Zhong Xin, continue to occupy center, where Chung Q allow you to change the line. If I punch, he blocks. I can change. If you continue to challenge me, again, allow me to use my mobility to continue to dominate his, break his 6 gates, okay? So now if you have a superior position in a sense, okay, we call that 达中心. 达中心 is the 4th step, okay? In a sense, it's the 4th principle we apply, meaning hit the center. If I'm successfully facing him correctly and be able to occupy that, now I'm already taking advantage. I'm 6 gate versus 3 gate. I will continue to strike him. This is called 达中心. This is called continue to taking his structure away. From here, I could be talking to you and suddenly I'm being attacked. So in essence, if I strike him at this moment, I'm striking from the same advantage, 3 gate versus 3 gate. Okay, or I could be kicking him, but in essence, I don't have any Wing Chun theory right at the moment. Okay, again, remember, when you're applying the 6 gate, what it does is give you the efficiency of motion. So rather than attacking him, see, I could be attacking him and then, but the fight's still on. He could be coming at me again. So I have to start using my tools that is require longer movements and takes more time and more energy, okay? Where Wing Chun is where, when you're in a bad situation, this is where beauty comes in. Okay, you see right away, I use Mansao or Fasao to catch it, and right away I gotta regain my 6 gate. Now from here, it's an advantage for me. If the next move come, I already gained the advantage. Okay, so as you can see, the logic flow of Wing Chun. First, you have Silam Tao. Be able to occupy your center, establish your 6 gate, be able to continue to occupy your opponent's center. Okay, if you've done that, then you can continue to finish it, called 达中心. If he, such as react or continue to challenge, then you have bin中心, which means you follow up or change the lines. Okay, of course, in a situation where Biuji teach you what happened if you start fighting from a bad position, such as from here or when you're losing balance or from the side. So you can see, in essence, those is what we call logics of combat. It's what we call tactics. Fighting is very chaotic. Okay, you have to remember, if you're gonna fight, you have to make contact. If you make contact, most likely you're gonna get hit. If you get hit, you're gonna get hurt. So that's why, from self-defense perspective, Wing Chun is a system where we really try to maintain our peace by maintaining our space. That's why it's only when our space has been invaded, then we respond to it. That's why we don't go out of the way to attack people. But nonetheless, it's very effective. Okay, if they come into our space, we're totally ready for it. Okay, but sometimes, like I said, you're not going to be able to face your opponents face to face to be in an optimal facing position. Okay, you could be attacked, like I say, from the side, or let's say from a grab, right? Okay, I gotta be quickly be able to recover that. Okay, such as the long bridge lapsao of the Biuji. Okay, again, Biuji gave us the last tactics just in case you're in a bad situation. We call it gao gapsao. Okay, so the essence is reflected that the strategy from center line facing, 中心老营, to occupying the center, to bin 中心, changing the line to 达中心, to hitting the center, to recovery, the gao gapsao, is very important in terms of application stage. Okay, so we need the tools, we need the drills and training, experience, and strategy to tie everything together. The essence of Wing Chun, a lot of people say, well, it has to be direct, simple, and spontaneous. Okay, in order to do that, you must not waste time, waste energy, and waste motions. And that is the guiding principle of economy of motion. So in essence, economy of motion is efficiency. So again, I want to re-emphasize that Wing Chun is not a style where we do trapping. Okay, it is because of efficiency where we fight in a 6-gate posture, because their reality is that we can use all the options from takedown to hitting to striking to trapping. 6-gate in essence is how human fight hand in hand in the most efficient way. We have covered a lot of details and foundation skill as well as a guiding principle from previous tape. So this is already tape number 6. Hopefully they start to see really a little bit more complete picture of Wing Chun system from his techniques perspective, from his trainings perspective, as well as the applications. Last, I want to again thank my assistant, Jeremy Rourke. We had a lot of fun together doing this Wing Chun series of the Yip Man system, BOG.